The Lord sends his greatest sign. The only hope for Judah, since the people had been sinning and going astray from the Lord in 8th century BC, the only hope, was it that they had to obey the law? Was that the hope? No. The only hope was that they must realize that they were unclean. The proof is that they had broken God's law. Two things. One is they needed to trust in the Lord 100% for salvation. And the evidence of that proof was what? The evidence was that they would serve him faithfully. Same as Isaiah. Isaiah, right after he was forgiven of his sin, what did he do? Immediately he started preaching. Isaiah preached and preached and preached to the people of Judah. They didn't listen to the prophet. No, they didn't listen to him at all. They weren't successful in trusting in the Lord, and he got tired of preaching, preaching, and preaching. And God was long-suffering to give the message through Isaiah to his people again and again. Still, they did not listen. They didn't listen at all during Isaiah's lifetime. They didn't even bother to ask God for a sign. What is that? Well, a sign, it's a blessing. What would it be? Well, the blessing would be that God would be with them. However, God promised that he would give a sign. And what was the sign? Well, the sign was that a baby would be born of a virgin. The baby's name? It would be Emmanuel, meaning God with us. Isaiah chapter 7, it's about things that happened around 735 BC. Now, starting a few years before that in the northern kingdom, and y'all, we're talking about Israel. The king there, well, he was evil. He was an evil king, as many of them were before. And what did he do? Well, he tried to bribe the king of Assyria. And what the king of Assyria wanted to do was to take the land of Israel. But the king of Israel, he said, hold on now. And he gave him a lot of silver. Now, how did he get all of this silver? Well, what he did is he stole it. He stole it from all the wealthy men of Israel. Why? Why did the king of Israel do this? Well, the reason is because he wanted to hold on to his kingship. He was hoping that if he paid off that king, that he could depend on him to support him as king there. In 735 BC, there was a new king who took control of Israel. And this king, he decided that he'd finished. He'd had enough of paying off Assyria, and he stopped doing it. What did Assyria do? They warred against Israel. Now, the king of Israel, he became allies with Syria. The reason he did this is because Israel and Syria, they wanted to go against Jerusalem. Remember, Jerusalem is in Judah. Now, their plan was that they would force King Ahaz, who was the king in Judah and Jerusalem, and that they would force him to join them to go against Assyria. If King Ahaz, if he refused to join with them, well, they would just get rid of him, and they would put in a new king who would support them. Of course, King Ahaz of Jerusalem, well, he was scared. He had two options. One, he could trust in God to protect him, or secondly, he could ask Assyria to help him. And Isaiah, he called King Ahaz and he said, "You need to trust in the Lord to help you." Isaiah, he told King Ahaz, he said, "You can ask God to give you a sign, and that way you'll know for sure that God will protect you." King Ahaz, he refused to ask God for a sign. Why? Well, he had already made the decision that he was going to trust in Assyria for help, and he was just using it as an excuse, saying that he didn't want to put God to the test because that would be sinning. That was a lame excuse. But the Lord did give a sign. What was it? Well, the sign was a prophecy that a baby would be born named Emmanuel, and that means God with us. Now, it meant that God was with the people there of Judah. He was with them until Jesus came to earth as a baby, then grew up, and as a young boy, able to make moral decisions. These two kings, the king of Syria and the king of Israel, well, they were destroyed. And this happened while Jesus was a young boy. And this fulfilled Isaiah's prophecy that this would happen. And this is proof that God was at this time that he was with them in Judah. You understand that in the area there, the remnant, the people who were the remnant in the area, that they were faithful, but they were still part of the people that would be cursed in Israel. And it was because the nation as a whole was cursed, because they were not faithful to the Lord and they did not trust him. Instead, they trusted in Assyria for protection against Israel and against Syria. Now, question, did Assyria protect Judah? No. God sent Assyria against Jerusalem. He cursed them because they were not faithful. Now remember, God promised before to King Ahaz, he promised that he would show him a sign that a baby would be born. And 700 years later, God himself came and became man, and that is Emmanuel. Now he is God with us, God in the flesh. Jesus himself, God with us, came to dwell with us. Wow, that is an amazing sign that Jesus was born to a virgin. It's a miracle. Now, he is also a sign of what? Well, eternal judgment to those who reject him. He knows our hearts. Now let's apply this to our Christian life today. Jesus himself is a sign. He will destroy us if we do not trust in him. He is Emmanuel. He is Christ. He is the sign. And he is the, what is the sign? Well, it is a blessing. That's what he is. He is a blessing. If we trust in him for salvation, we are blessed. If we deny Jesus, that he was born of a virgin mother, that he himself is Emmanuel, God with us, that was prophesied 2,700 years ago, we will be cursed. We will be cursed to eternal destruction. Wow. You know, it's interesting. God promised that he would curse Judah if they did not turn and trust him, right in the midst of them facing two enemies, Syria and Israel, that were coming against them. But God did not allow them to conquer Jerusalem. And that shows that God had grace for Judah. God keeps his promises, and he did curse Judah. Understand that. But he did not do this through these two countries. Now, it's the same as God does today with us. God shows us grace on our country, many good things, many blessings that we have. But that doesn't mean that God does not curse those who do not trust in him. Remember, God himself is holy. He always keeps his promises, always. He's never missed one promise. Perhaps you think Isaiah's message to the ancient Israelites was harsh. It was, and it is the truth. A message still true for us today to turn and trust Christ. Looking to Jesus as a sign means two things. It means destruction, eternal destruction, or it means salvation, eternal blessing. If you reject Jesus, then you are doomed. He will curse you. Turn to Jesus. He will bless you. You're either going to face destruction or you're going to face blessing. One or the other. You cannot remain neutral. You can't. We need to realize that we've sinned against Christ. Repent and trust in him. Or if you decide to have nothing to do with him, nothing at all, that means that you deny that he is God with us, and he will curse you. Now is the time to accept him, to trust in him. Corn Dio.